The history of Lara Croft represents just over 2 decades of society's complex relationship with strong, powerful heroines. The original development of Croft by Core Design, released in 1996 by Eidos Interactive, was a watershed moment. Suddenly, a powerful, strong woman was not just a character in a game, but the main protagonist. Lara Croft's character has been an over-sexualized but empowering female icon in the gaming world, from being on the cover of Playboy to embodying strength within a woman in a way that had never really been acknowledged before. She paved the way for many future badass female protagonists in the gaming world. A few examples being Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn, Chloe in Uncharted The Lost Legacy, and Senua in Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. The early Tomb Raider games featured a Lara Croft with exaggerated, hypersexualized features and a very two-dimensional personality. It wasn't until she came to our cinema screens that the idea of Lara Croft being a feminist icon was really explored. Angelina Jolie, who played the action hero/male fantasy in both the 2001 and 2003 films, embodied all of those hypersexualized attributes. While her stunts and guns were exciting, Jolie's attempt of portraying a powerful woman resulted in a woman who simply emulated masculinity. She was cool and calm, with not much emotional depth and a casual approach to everything that had meaning to her. This created a non-threatening ally for men who didn't feel emasculated by thinking she was cool, but whom also still saw her as a sexual object. The producers' decisions to portray Croft in this way incorrectly suggested that femininity is a weakness and masculinity is the only appropriate portrayal of strength. This is obvious in the framing of many shots throughout this film. The angles that are used in the beginning sequence, where Lara fights the training robot, are very sexualized and are shown from the perspective of the robot, portraying Croft as the victim. This exploits the game's original third-person perspective, where we experience Lara Croft's story personally and have complete control over her actions. By showing her the same way, it takes away the character's autonomy in the film. In Tomb Raider: The Cradle of Life, released in 2003, Croft becomes more aware of her sexuality, which she proceeds to use as a weapon, creating a threat that did not previously exist. She was now strong, powerful, and independent, as well as having control over her own sexuality, rather than it being thrust upon her. She is also seen presenting herself as much more feminine, the opening scene literally being her emerging from the ocean in a bikini, and later outfits including an embroidered jacket and a fur coat. In 2013, after a few more mediocre game releases, Crystal Dynamics took over, and gave Lara a whole new aesthetic. Suddenly, this new phase of Tomb Raider gave us a much more mature game trilogy, taking our main protagonist a lot more seriously than in previous years. The new 4-dimensional Croft was brought to life by Camilla Luddington through voice and motion capture. Our heroine was fleshed out in every aspect of her character, with more natural body proportions, practical clothing for fighting in jungles and climbing through tombs, vast emotional depth, and a much deeper character development and backstory that is a driving narrative throughout the game. Luddington brought to life a fantastic reimagining of a much younger Croft, taking us on her journey of self-discovery, through her moral dilemmas and her pain, painting her in a much more powerfully human light. In 2018, we received both a brand new feature-length film with an all-new Lara played by Alicia Vikander, and the finale in the trilogy of the Lara Croft origin story, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The movie gave Lara a new image in cinema, based entirely from the 2013 reboot. Copying scenes directly from that game, Vikander was a much more independent Lara. She doesn't live in her father's mansion and she doesn't live off of his fortune. Instead, there is an emphasis on Lara's relentless endurance, strength, and growth into her character as the Tomb Raider. She is finally shown as an independent warrior rather than the characterization of a male fantasy. Vikander's Croft returns to gender-neutral practical clothing, and her character does not have a romantic interest at all. This tells us that the filmmakers were much more interested this time in telling the story of Lara Croft. Lara is not presented as a fantasy. She is real and very human. Similarly, in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the true emotional capacity of this character is explored as we are given another, much more visceral performance from Camilla Luddington. Lara Croft was a trailblazer from the moment her character was born, and her ability to keep relevance over the decades, perhaps even more now than ever, is truthfully impressive. She paved the way for women in gaming and opened up a whole new realm of strength for female warriors on screen, as well as essentially kick-starting the action-adventure game genre. Although the 2018 releases of the Tomb Raider's story gave us all a much-needed reality check, the way women are represented and characterised in both films and video games still has a long way to go.